Our world continues to change and push us in ways we have not been challenged before. On this show, we talk about these challenges, how to be aware of them, face them, and overcome them in your life. This is David Waldas, creator of the Aligned Living System.
And I'm Nick Musica, Aligned Living Coach. Welcome to the Aligned Living System podcast.
Welcome to the Aligned Living Systems podcast. I'm here with David Waldas. My name is Nick Musica, and today we're going to talk about clarity. Going to start with a little story from this morning. So I was going for a hike in Torrey Pines with a bunch of founders. It's the Founders Hike in Torrey Pines. A lot of folks in the San Diego area who are in biotech, who are in finance. You name the category, they're in it. And there was language that I just haven't been around in a while. It just started to pop up. It's just not part of my everyday vernacular. I'm an SEO guy. That's what I do day in, day out.
You're an animal communicator.
And this if you can have your one thing and then have your other thing, right? Your side hustle, right? So like that's possibly a side hustle. It's my Friday afternoons I carve off and I talk with folks as the animal communicator. But anyway, you slice my day. I'm not having conversations about their mission and vision all the time. I'm not having conversations about raising money. The first conversation I had with someone today was, what stage are you at in your company? I'm not at a stage in my company. I own my company. I do my job. I have a team of 1099s and me, and I do work for small, medium-sized companies. That is what I do. I'm not raising money. I'm not doing that, right? So the whole conversation was different this morning. And there was a gentleman who I spoke with who had a wonderful product. I thought it was a wonderful product where he ties into shopping carts. Among the other things he does, he ties into shopping carts. It's called EcoDrive. And he helps people. It's basically an upsell. When you're shopping for your X, Y, and Z, whatever it is, your dog food, you get asked, do you want to spend another dollar or whatever it is to plant a tree? And that tree has tagging tied to it. There's evidence that it actually got planted. And I'm looking at the conversations around what people are doing and also how they're talking about it. And there seemed to be this divide. There's this one person who's talking about saving the planet from his perspective, what he can do. And I certainly didn't talk to everyone. I have no idea what everyone did today, but not everyone was talking about what he was talking about.
Sure.
Right. And so the bigger idea of, well, what really is your mission? What really is your vision? Is it extraction from the planet, from the people, from the animals, from everything we're talking about for the sake of building up your bank account? Or is it something different? Or is it about contributing? What really is the mission?
Giving
versus
balance.
What is the mission?
Mm-hmm.
What is it? Extraction or is it contribution?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny. I think most people that are listening to this podcast probably end up more in the contribution, and their problem may be more, we've talked a bit on it about this here is, the what's in it for me. And it's interesting to be in a group where a lot of it is, what's in it for me? What's in it for me? Oh yeah, I suppose I could give back to, oh, cool. Like you have this thing that I can use to give back. That rebalancing is, it totally different mindsets, right? It's really weird when we go out into the kind of the common world and end up in these groups where people are really, really led by what's in it for me.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at right now, like I'm looking at you, David. I'm looking at about a third of my social interaction, right? Like you account for a huge portion of my social interaction throughout the week. And so now this morning I'm sitting there with, I don't know, 30, 40 people doing a thing that I typically do. Julietta, my wife, we go there quite a bit to go hiking. So I'm familiar with the place. I don't feel out of place, but the conversation is just so strange. And so I'm just sort of like reacclimating myself to the world after COVID, after working for myself, after not getting outside a lot, and I'm just not used to these conversations. And I have this perception that the world has changed to some degree because I have, and the reality is it really hasn't.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's this division, right? And I mean, this is something we've been talking about a lot too, where, those of us that are in this mission to raise our frequency, to operate in this cleaner, clearer place, to create this
Yeah.
expansiveness inside of ourselves, like what's going on over there is starting to feel further and further away because it is.
Yeah.
And this new energy
Yeah.
that's coming in is supporting our mission, right? What we're doing.
Yeah.
And the old energy is, it's like people cling to it more because it's falling apart. But, one of the things that, and this is interesting. It's funny. I was just seeing this kind of like the Democrats and the Republicans. Like the Republicans are really good at organizing, creating a talking point, hammering it home, creating division with it. And so you have to choose sides. And it seems like the Democrats for years have kind of like, well, no, we're the good guys. And like, but there's been this lack of shape, lack of form, lack of, like we care about the people.
Right.
And so, it's really interesting. I think that's the effectiveness of the conservative, agenda, if you will, and then the ineffectiveness of the Democratic agenda.
Agreed.
And, not choosing sides, but there's one that's way more effective than others. And so, when we look at our own world, what is the shape that we're carrying? And when we're see ourselves as the good guys doing the right thing, doing it like as our perspective of I'm bringing this light, it can be very easy to just kind of get stuck in that and not have a mission, not have a sense of like, well, what am I doing? Well, I'm doing the right thing. Well, great. What does that look like? What is the next level of this for you? How do you hold yourself in this forward movement rather than getting caught up in the kind of either the good feeling of, I really feel like I'm contributing, and that kind of saturates me and makes me feel content. And so in that contentness, I don't really move forward. I don't really make the difference that I can make, versus the idea of how do I harness this thing and really put some energy behind it, because feeling good is great, but I want to be effective too. I want to actually make not just my world better, but the world around me better. And of course we do that, but the difference in the level at which we can do that when we start to get a little bit more mission focused. And I'm not saying write it out. I'm not saying, well, my mission is to change the consciousness. Like, sure, that's great. And, what does it look like in that day to day? And more importantly, what is the shape of your energy field? And that hopefully that's something that can land for people, because I can feel it completely different. Like right now, I feel the shape of my energy field is very vertical. It's very much about doing the next thing. It's very much about having an impact and bringing who I am and what my mission is to the world. If I let go of that for a minute and I let myself drop down and just kind of get complacent in this place, like I feel completely different inside of myself. I feel like my voice changes. I feel like you can probably feel it if you're listening, and go, like I really love what I do. I get to help people. I'm getting to work with more and more influential people now. It's beautiful. I feel like I'm making a difference, right? You feel that flatness, like, yeah, that's great. Your little bubble is fantastic. But when we freaking lock it in and go, all right, now this is the energy I'm bringing to the world. It's not just my little bubble. It has shape now. The energy moving forward is going to make a difference at a whole nother level than us just kind of wandering around doing our good things that we're doing, being the good guys. And the good guys got to get their shit organized. Being a good energy is great. And, like I'm not judging, like that was my mission for a long time, to just radiate this beautiful light, and when I could, and not but then also get frustrated because the world's like this and things aren't moving forward in that way. And versus taking charge and going, well, shit's going to happen now. Shit's going to happen now. And the people bringing the light need to start doing that, because it's just our time. It's time for that.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
So to react to that, you're talking, I was interpreting in language that I used to think. And so, a lot of the feel good action is sort of very mental.
Yeah.
It's not actionable. It's
no.
It feels like it is because you feel different, but you didn't really do anything with it.
Yeah. And it creates complacency. It gets us trapped. We hang out with other people who go, oh my God, let's create these beautiful experiences, right? Beautiful. Awesome. Where's the forward movement? And, there's something that I've been playing with a lot recently too around this of, what we're asking from each other isn't really what we want from each other. And
Same here.
often, often what we're asking from each other is creating a really comfortable place, right? Like I want you to kind of indulge where I'm at, and you want me to kind of indulge where you're at. Let's kind of bland things down. Let's make a, really kind of this homeostasis, kind of balanced yet very stuck place. And we would say, well, it doesn't feel stuck. I'm not stuck. I want to be here. Right. But when we're really clear with ourselves, like how fulfilled do I feel there? It's nice. It's good, all of these things. But when we decide that we want more, when we decide we're really ready to bring it, like that shit that was so beautiful, like there's another level that needs to come in where we're like, you know what, you don't want me to just kind of sit here and be a little flaccid, to be a little bit like play along. Like what we want to really feel from each other is like passion, moving forward, like excitement about what we're doing, not sitting in a circle where we're just kind of, I won't use the word that just came in.
Don't
Just
use
kind
that
of
word.
rubbing each other's shoulders, I guess.
I'm so glad you said shoulders.
And there comes a certain point when we're just like, you know what? Like, it's been beautiful, but it's just time to organize. It's time, and I don't mean each other, I mean organize ourselves
Yeah.
and break those patterns of complacency. And I've never felt it like I have in the last little bit. And it brings a new level of excitement. It brings a new level of shit. Like, let's go fucking do this.
Mhm.
As opposed to like, we are doing it and it feels good. Like, are we? And it's like I just keep seeing this vision of the Democrats going like, oh, we're helping people. This is, and then the Republicans are going, we're getting shit done.
Yeah.
And again, it's not about parties, but it's about
No.
shape. And
Right.
what would happen, like if you're a Democrat or you believe in that, like what would happen if they found their shape and stopped trying to kind of just feel good about what their ideas are, like ineffective versus effective.
Yeah. There's no
And
result in that. There's no
no,
result.
no,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I think we see that so much in our spiritual energy of it just like bathing in it instead of giving it shape, giving it form and bringing it forward and
Yeah.
going, man, there's
Oh
another
man.
level of me that wants to show up.
I mean, it's it reminds me a lot of my childhood growing up going to church,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
you went to church, you prayed to God,
Mm-hmm.
you stood up, you kneeled down, you sat down, did that once or twice, three times, and then you sort of walked out of the building and checked the box,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Like
100%.
I was
When
the
I,
good person. I was the good
when
person.
when I lived in New York, when I first moved back after my first daughter was born, we lived in a house directly across the street from this Catholic church. And it was a remodel, so we're out there working on it, Sundays. And uh the church would get out, and it was literally, it looked like recess, at like a an elementary school. The doors would open, everybody's like running to their cars, cutting each other off, pulling out into
Right,
traffic,
right.
honking
Yeah,
at each other.
that's it.
And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, it was insane. And then it was funny. uh I we're out there painting, and a older woman walked over and she goes, the priest used to be a painter and he says that you're doing it wrong. And I'm like, oh, okay, did he have any suggestions? No, nope, he was just pointing out that the way you're painting isn't right. And I'm like, what? Like, first off, I'm like pulling my kids in the house so they don't get run over, and now I got some old lady coming across the street just telling me I'm doing it wrong but not giving me any. I'm
So
like, this is interesting, right? And it was such a clear, like we would laugh on Sundays, like, quick, grab the kids, bring them in the house, get them out of the street. They're going to get run over by all the.
yeah. And the modern day version of that is uh going to Whole Foods and everyone's all blissed out on their yoga and
Yeah. Yeah.
namaste to you, and then get the hell
Yeah.
out of my way in the parking lot. Same thing.
Yeah. 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 Absolutely. And so this whole piece of, like there's absolute beauty in this. We're not knocking any of that, but we've reached a point where it's time to kind of get a little more real with ourselves, and being the good guys isn't enough.
Isn't good
And
enough.
it's not. And what I'm saying is not like sure, it translates into what's happening on the planet, but what I'm saying is it's not good enough for you. Like, it doesn't bring the fulfillment for you. And this is one of the things that's really landed for me. And I may have talked about this a little bit on here already, but I'll talk about it again. Is that, when I got the download for aligned living, it felt like this huge burden in a way. Like I was so excited about it, but I'm like, man, I got to get this to the world. And if I don't, like the world's not going to have it. And I very quickly learned like somebody else will just steal it and take it. Right. And they'll bring
Yeah.
it to the world. And so it's
Yeah.
not about me being the one that has to bring it to the world. It's like, if I don't bring it to the world, I suffer, you know, this lack of fulfillment, this opportunity that I had to step forward with it, that I didn't step forward with. Like, what does that do for me in my world and my relationship with myself, my relationship with my energy, my shape? And so all these callings that we're getting inside of ourselves, all these ways that we want to show up, all these growth points, all these transformations that we're all going through, like it's not just about sitting in them anymore. And it's been a long period of that. But this phase that we're moving into, it's about taking shape, bringing it to the world because the world needs it. But that's not really why. It's because if you don't do it, you are going to start to just feel more and more blah, less and less fulfilled, more and more lost and confused. And so it starts with doing it for us, which sounds backwards.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's the driving point, right? What it always comes down to when
That's
we're truly
true.
honest with ourselves, do I feel good? Do I feel like shit? Well, I do things that make me feel good, you know, when I'm intentional about it. And it's all matches up perfectly. Like, yes, the world needs this. And the fact that it feels great to bring it and the fact that it's suffering when we don't, that's perfect because it makes it happen. And
Yeah.
if you're confused, if you're in that kind of wobbly place, this is what we're talking about. And this is the solution.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. Powerful stuff. Short and sweet
A
today.
lot of good stuff in a short amount of time. Mhm.
Feel like it was a little bit
Mhm.
of a fire hose today, but I think, you know, sit with it. Like, get real with yourself. You know, like, yes, these circles that we're in, these spiritual connections are beautiful. And are we just rubbing each other's shoulders, you know, kind of passing it around, or are we ready to take shape and bring that to the world?
What are we doing?
Yeah. Yeah. What are we really doing? Right.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, love to hear some feedback from this one too. This is, I think, a great conversation to continue and to hear people's response to. And the intention of this is inspiration. And so if you feel inspired listening to this, awesome. If you feel other stuff, let's sort through that, because this can also be very triggering, right? This can also be, you know, the idea of like, well, I feel like I am making a difference, and always bring it back to how fulfilled do I feel? How lit up do I feel? How alive do I feel? And when we're making a difference, we feel alive. When we're doing nice things, we just feel complacent.
Yeah. And what's the results?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
All
Awesome,
right.
brother. Great conversation.
Mhm.
All right. Have a great week, everybody. I'd love to hear some feedback. Let us know. We hope you enjoyed listening to today's podcast. And if you did, please subscribe so you can catch the next episode. If you want to learn more about the Aligned Living System and how it could support you in your life, check out davidwaldas.com.